Hello, welcome to part 3 of the toy guitar build. Sorry it's taken so long to get this finished. I hope it's worth the wait. Now, where were we? Okay, this is the circuit out of the toy guitar. And it's got two plugs. It's got a main jack and then it's got a little headphone socket, which I thought was a headphone socket, but actually turns out that it's a microphone. So this must have some kind of little amp in it. But I'm adding a humbucker to the guitar, but because the piezo is glued in, it's under there at the moment, then I thought it would be fun to add a switch and have both of them so that you can select humbucker or piezo. So because there's an amp in here and I don't want to mess around with it, all I've done is removed the piezo and then added a red and black cable to where it was. Those 2 points there, that's where the piezo was going. So I've added a switch to the red cable, and then the black one is just going to a little tiny bit of circuit board, which is going to be the earth point for the humbucker and the piezo. So they'll go to here, and then the red cables from the piezo and the humbucker will go to this switch, which will literally just flip between the two of those. Hopefully it shouldn't interfere with this at all, because it's all happening before either of them go into it. That's how I understand it anyway. That might be wrong, I don't know. So the humbucker's going into the bridge hole as illustrated here, but I didn't want to fill up that neck cavity. So I took an old speaker grill and cut off a little piece and then shaped it to fit inside. The idea is that it kind of matches the colour of the pickup, but also being sort of a sound hole as well. Now, this is the real weepy and tragic part of the story beginning. I think I mentioned in part 1 that I was going to do a collage, but I thought that would make it a little bit too niche. So I just decided to paint it in the end. I primed it first, obviously, which let me know where all the little inconsistencies were. So I sanded those down and then gave it another coat of primer. I had some red lacquer that I just thought I'd use as an experiment, but it wasn't really very good. It was kind of translucent, so not really suitable for this. It took quite a while to get the same depth of colour on both pieces. It looks alright though, doesn't it? Well, you see here this tiny blemish? Well, I tried patch filling that and it went wrong. Very wrong. I guess the wet paint reacted with the dry paint somehow, and the more I tried to fix it, the worse it got. Here's a little insight as to what I was thinking at the time. Well, I haven't exactly coated myself in glory with this paint job. Once this is fixed and all blended in, make sure it's primed well, and then I'll do some coats of red with the masking on, and then I'll take all the masking off, then sand the whole thing again to blend the texture all in together, and then ideally just spray the whole thing with a few more coats of red to get it to blend in. If it doesn't blend in very well, I'm not averse to just priming the whole thing again and starting from scratch, but if I can get this patch fixed, then that's a better way to go. The reason I've primed it now is because I went through the red in a couple of places, but it's relatively smooth. It's better than it was. Annoyingly, the original flaw that has led to this was nowhere near as bad as anything that I've, I could have just left it, but that's what you get when you try and fix a mistake rather than, just starting again, I suppose. Yeah, it was never going to work, was it? So I did prime and respray the whole thing again in the end, and it took so many coats to get rid of that big ugly square, I decided not to push my luck any further and just not sand it anymore. Luckily the headstock went alright, but yeah, that whole painting debacle is why this has taken so long to finish. It just became one of those depressing projects you don't want to look at anymore. So that's the end of the archival footage, now onto the completion. So for my side top markings, I've got this little L-shaped piece of metal with a hole drilled in the centre of it. So I can just lie that on the fret, line it up with the middle, make sure it's down all the way, then put my pointy tipped soldering iron down the hole like a stencil, and it burns a little spot on the side. And then I can do that with all of the other frets. On the 12th fret, just push it all the way up to the one side Then slide it over to the other end, push it up against that fret, and there you go. Then you've got 2 spots there. Then on the other end of this, it's just a slightly wider one for the bigger frets, because it's slightly easier to center. I think I'm out of frame now. So needless to say, the design of this thing has been evolving constantly. I'm basically making it up as I go along, basically. And a big sort of problem I've been having is how to attach the neck to the toy. And I think what I've sort of struck upon here is that I'm not really going to at all. The bridge is obviously screwed through the top into the neck, because the plan originally was to glue this to the back. But I don't think I will now. I think I'm just going to leave it just sort of sandwiched in there by pressure, and it will be held together by this. And then the back is just the back that's stuck on. You know, it doesn't matter to the top whether the back's on there. The next stage is doing the string. So I'm going to drill down. This drill is the same size as the string holes. That's to help keep me straight when I drill down. This is kind of the scary part, because now I'm going through the body, out the back of the plastic. You know, this could cause quite a lot of problems with the back of this. I'm going to use these rivets as sort of ferrules. So if there's any chip out or damage when I go through, the top of this should cover them up. Okay, this is moment of truth number 25 on this build, I think. I'm going to see if I can put a string through one of these ferrules and have it come out through the bridge. There we go, cool. So they line up. That's good. That's all the designing really, so it's just sort of putting it together now. I glued on the grill with some super glue, and by this point I'd painted the top of the neck black, because you could still see it through the grill, so that disguises it. And unfortunately the super glue had kind of left a white film on the grill, so I cleaned that off with some acetone and it disappeared immediately. That's my standard technique for making a nut, just a little rectangle of aluminium with some slits cut with a hacksaw. Junior hacksaw for the top strings and a senior hacksaw for the bass strings. Then obviously there's a lot of filing to get it into the final shape. That's the same bottle of T-coil that I've used on every single guitar I've made. Still going strong. It's not bad, but I'll probably get linseed oil when it runs out, because apparently that's meant to be better. So I think we're about ready to put it back together. I mean, I don't know what the order of operations is yet. I'm just going to have to sort of feel my way through. I think, though, the electronics need to go on first. my Batman video, I mentioned that I put a capacitor on the piezo, which calmed down some of the high frequencies. So I'm going to demonstrate the effect of that now. So the guitar's plugged in with the piezo setting. There's the piezo. So if I put the overdrive on this, there's going to be a lot of feedback. Okay, so if I rest the capacitor on the two terminals, there you go. So it's still working, but the capacitor is taking some of the high frequencies and putting them straight to the earth. So that makes it a lot more versatile. So I'm going to do that, and I'm probably going to do that from now on. Right. Thanks to Tim, the amp guy from the Fender video, who gave me these caps. Because he's an electrician, he's got loads of these stuffs lying around. Stuffs. That's a technical term. Right. That's not very pretty, but piezos are notoriously difficult to solder to. So. Well, it still works. There you go, no feedback. I think I'm going to put a bit of tape over it. Piezos seem to have a very thin metal film over the ceramic portion, which melts away when you try to solder it. So I'm just going to put this bit of tape over there, just for safety. That shouldn't harm it, but you never know. Yeah, there we go, cool. But the person who designed this originally, probably like a Japanese guy in some toy factory, never expected that some weird English bloke would do this with it. Well, there it is. I don't know what else to call that other than a guitar. What do you reckon? Some D'Addarios on there. I don't need the gold one. Oh, they've wound them together. Why did they do that? You should have known I wasn't using them all, D'Addario. Because I only use the 4 middle ones, I've got dozens and dozens and dozens of both types of E string. So if you want some, give me a shout. All right. Far off. I'm not doing that again, don't worry. Well, there it is. Let's see. Cool. Nice. Okay. So here's the humbucker. Piezo. Quite a lot quieter, but that's kind of to be expected with a piezo, really. Let's put some overdrive on. Let's try the piezo with overdrive. So yeah, it's still a little bit harsh through this amp, but it's a lot more user-friendly than it normally is. And with proper EQ settings and stuff, it should be quite a decent tone after a fashion. Oh yeah, this thing's got a microphone input on. So let's see what that sounds like. I've got a microphone here. Hello. So it works, that's good. That's what it sounds like.
Not too bad. I mean, it should work exactly the same in both positions. Yeah, hello, yeah, yeah. Because obviously the switch isn't touching the microphone at all. It's just going straight into the little circuit board thing. So yeah, so that's all right. That works. So you can do like a one-man band thing with one amp. It's not really that kind of guitar, is it? This is like an 80s hair metal guitar. But, you know, I'm not really an 80s hair metal kind of guy, in case you hadn't noticed. Not really, Never really learned how to... Oh, yeah, distorted microphone. Hello, I'm Whispering Bob Harris. Welcome to the Old Grey Whistle Test. That was Leonard Skinner. Well, there it is. Toy guitar is all finished. Thanks for being so patient, waiting for that series to end. You know, I've seen YouTube channels that never finished series as well, so I know how that feels. I think I'm just as excited to see it finished as you are, to be honest. I think it looks pretty cool. Let me know what you thought in the comments, and thanks for watching. Cheers!